Hello YouTube, back for another video, this time another When You Pull. Please remember to like and subscribe for future content and help the channel grow. And without any further ado, let's get into it. So this is When You Pull. With FR and Shinryu, things work differently than they have in the past, so I want to give my thoughts and go over things you might want to know before making your choices on these banners, whether pulling or otherwise. This is not a should you pull or similar, because I don't believe that it's the best format for what I'm aiming for. My goal is to try and help people make more informed decisions for themselves, rather than simply parroting what they've read or seen online. Improving the discourse around fights and characters is always going to be good for the health of the game, and I often see folks say things like, well, I heard that X character is bad and falls off quickly, and you have to pull for Y because they're meta and you can't beat content without them, which has neither facts nor personal opinions behind it, and frankly, the game doesn't really function like that in Shinryu. I understand that not everyone wants to do a ton of research for fights and future viability of characters, but I am hoping to help people learn good habits when it comes to deciding whether or not to pull that are based more on fact than on hearsay. That being said, these are my thoughts, and as I want to encourage dialogue within the community, please leave a comment down below with what you think and with what your plans are. And as always, a like and a sub are hugely appreciated, as they help spread the content around and are easy, free ways to help support the channel and help it grow. For this event, we get a new character in the form of Sice, as well as C90 for Lon and Ray, hereafter called the Twins. The Twins get a minor but useful rework, which turns both of their skills into double HP attacking moves. The plus versions hit a bit harder, but it's literally the entire rework. As for the C90, they've got better brave damage, so they should be able to hit those caps more easily, but it's not exactly like they had a whole lot of trouble doing that before. The EX itself does do more damage and becomes a quadruple HP attack, but more importantly, it now extends the duration of their Mirage buffs by 3 turns instead of just 1. This is great for their longevity and makes them feel a lot smoother, but that's it. That's the whole thing. I wouldn't really recommend grabbing these two, but if you like them, you can probably get them to do work. They hit a bunch of different elements though, and that can be a huge pain in the ass later on in Shinryu. They obviously hit a number of elemental FR conditions, along with doing magic damage and extending buffs. Can't think of anything else that they're packing though. Instant break on EX, I guess? That's a thing, right? So, the last new character of Lufenia and the final Class 0 cadet makes her hotly anticipated appearance now. Sice is a melee damage dealer and tempo control unit with a lot of neat tech packed in her kit. Spoilers, I think she's pretty good. Her skill 1 is a split AoE with 3 HP attacks, which gives her a 100% evasion buff, along with a stack of her overhead effect. This overhead caps out at 2 stacks and increases max brave, attack, and HP damage that Sice deals based on the number of stacks that she has. It also decreases whenever she gets broken, hence the evasion. Her skill 2 is a single target attack with 4 HP attacks, which has a 2-turn delay added on top. Oh, all of her buttons are dark damage, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Sice is a dark damage dealer. Her C65 gives her a single stack. It is an HP attack as well. While giving her attack and brave cap up, you'll mostly use this to make sure she's capping on damage. It is a really good fight opener. Sice's EX is another split AoE, though this time with 5 HP attacks, which makes it a pretty good damage button. It also heals her while converting the extra healing to battery. It gives a stack as well. I'm pretty sure all of her buttons do. But it also gives a buff that gives max brave and attack, overflow, dark enchant, brave retain, and dark imperil as an aura. This is pretty loaded. Lastly, and this is what people really want to hear about, the EX will move all enemy turns to be after the opponent that's furthest away. So if B and C are about to take a turn. They're gonna recast you or whatever. But you sent A off to the Shadow Realm. Sice will give B and C an express ticket there too. What's great is that this also works against frame turns. Only thing is that you've got to set those turns back in the first place to make it useful, but it is a really useful spacing tool regardless. Especially when you need, just one more turn to finish that force time setup or defensive piece or, whatever else. Sice's LD does have 4 uses, which means off to a great start. And it's a 4 HP attacking full AoE skill. Gives her a free skill use on the next turn, and it gives all of the enemies 12 turns of a debuff that consists of a defense down as well as a follow-up attack. The follow-up works exactly the same way that Ace's card does. It ticks down on both player and enemy turns and does a pretty chunky attack with splash damage. It is single HP attack. It works during force time and summon, but it doesn't do anything during BT phases, so do take that into account. Overall, I think that Sice is a great pickup for anyone, especially if you liked Ace's playstyle. Personally, I prefer Sice, and she has a lot of tools in her kit that you can play around with, which makes her really flexible in terms of which FRs you can use her with. She's got self-healing, delay, evasion, free skills. That actually is an FR condition. I think it's just Vaughn though. A stacked buff or overhead. Follow-up attacks that take place on enemy and ally turns that aren't considered counters. That is a thing. Delay, I think I already said that. Dark damage and melee damage. Her FR actually releases tonight on JP. Hopefully I remember to edit something in here to talk about it. So we'll be able to see how well she'll continue to age. Thus far, though, I think she's a really solid pick for Shinryu. Just do be aware, though, and I mentioned this with the twins, there is a period of time in the game where elemental lockouts take place, which reduce your brave damage with attacks that aren't the right element, turns them into ones. This doesn't make Sice bad, it's just something to keep in mind. You're not necessarily going to use her for every single fight, and that's fine. Okay, I'm editing this one in, going to bed after this. The trailer for Sice FR just dropped, and it looks pretty decent. It's hard to tell exactly what the percentage increases and things like that are, but it looks like the conditions are doing a dark attack, including off turns, for a small increase, and then a much larger increase for taking a turn with a character that has an overhead effect. This will obviously be very effective with Sice since all of her buttons are dark, and she has the freebie bonus that she'll be generating on every turn, whether it's enemy or ally, via the tornado. There's not a ton of characters that can hit the dark damage conditional. It's what, Leon, Zande, and Golbez. I think Shantota does some as well, maybe. But that's the much smaller portion of her bonus generation. In the trailer, it was doing 5%. Of those, as much as it kills me to say this, Zande is probably the best option, as he's doing dark damage on his own turns while also having an overhead. The others don't. Oh wait, Shantota does as well. That's true. But he is also incredibly slow, which is fantastic because he's really bad. You're probably better off just enchanting someone else with the Zande Call, I guess. This FR seems like it's obviously strongest when enemies taking lots of turns, which is slightly counterintuitive, I think, for a character that has delay and turn moving. But you can just as easily not worry about it that much and hold off on doing all of that. Obviously, you're going to be wanting to run, Diablo summon for the enchant, but he doesn't have his level 50 yet, so no dice there. I guess I'd probably use, Brothers or something. I don't know. Keep in mind, I'm recording this like 15 minutes after this trailer went live, so, grain of sand, hip fire reactions here, folks. On the surface, I would say this is, the conditional is probably It kind of reminds me of Minwoo just a little, because you're depending on the on/off turn stuff, where Minwoo can trigger his traps with his like HP plus and stuff like that, and you can get some kind of consistent bonuses off. That's smaller, or it's really similar to original release Kane, doing fucking 5% every single turn. Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed now. I think Sice FR looks decent. Can't really tell what her rework did. It's very... I didn't understand the video. It looks like her LD, the trap thing, got a duration extension, but I don't recognize anything else. Thank you. I'm going to bed now. Bye. For her event, the fight is actually super easy. The orb is fatal and does start up at the beginning of the fight with no way to remove it though. It's +2 on dark damage and +2 when the duration of a debuff, buff, or special effect decreases. So this is the same condition as, what was it, Transcendence 4, I think? Or 3? The Ace one. It's obviously asking for Sice, but you could realistically do this with a ton of other characters. Vivi in particular comes to mind, although you could also pretty easily ace your way through. Leon would also work, or maybe even Enacro. You could try that. Trey as well. But this fight does have two mechanics. One of them is an HP shield. It's, whatever, it's there. Don't even worry about it. It's not especially meaningful. Just be aware it's there. The other, however, reflects debuffs to you, like debuffs that you go to inflict. It reflects them onto you when they have this aura up. It's red or blue or something, I don't know. This can be hilariously run killing, but it's also mostly a non-issue. It is really, really funny though, and a clear indication that someone who designs fights has an excellent sense of humor. I wish this sort of thing happened a bit more, though. But hey, at least we got something in the form of mechanics. And that's it. Those are my thoughts on the upcoming units. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of the format, and if you're pulling here, and if you're not too. Like and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.